Perfect timing. Good evening and welcome to the July 8th meeting of the Park and Rec Commission for the month of July 2013. Call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. To open up with the agenda, we'll start with public forum. Seeing no one here, we'll address item number 2 on the agenda, which is staff and director reports. Does anybody have any issues or questions associated with the seniors report or Rick's report? We don't have one from Phil on the maintenance, but we'll talk about that later on. What's going on there? Correspondence. I have one piece of correspondence here, and then Rick just handed me another. So this is a thank you to Park and Rec Commission members. Thank you so much for our wedding gift. What a truly thoughtful thing to do. It will be put to good use. Who doesn't have,
Love Coles.
what's that?
Who doesn't love Coles?
Oh, we are truly grateful. Bonnie and Stephen Moore.
Nice.
And, oh, that's something else. I have another letter that Rick just handed to me from Barbara Casey with respect to a company meeting that was held in a facility. It reads, Dear Rick, as you know, Sightlines held a portion of its company meeting at the community center on July 2nd. We were very disappointed. The room was not set up when we arrived, and the staff person arriving after we arrived was discourteous. He told me that the round tables could not be used because he needed them for the senior breakfast, and that he had not been told in advance to set up anything. This was not a pleasant exchange. We then went ahead and set up the tables and put out the chairs for 75 by ourselves, though we did help toward the end, after I believe you spoke to him. This was embarrassing to me as a Guilford resident and not at all acceptable. I understand from Molly Ferguson that you will refund a portion of the $135. I would respectfully ask you to refund the whole amount. I am certain this was not the center's usual response to community groups. Thank you for your help, Barbara Casey. And we're going to bring this up under, for a brief discussion later on? Okay. Minutes, I read the minutes, didn't see any.
There was another communication.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I probably where's the new packet I got?
Here. It's a letter from Wendy North about Chaffin Island.
Oh, I remember this one, sorry about that. This is dated June 16th, 2013. Dear Rick, Chaffin Island Park can no longer be ignored by our town officials. 2 concerns. The land is eroding away at an alarming rate of speed. 2, its overuse and abuse by large numbers of people on weekends and evenings. Partial solution to address the second bullet. A park and recreation employee at the park from sunrise to sunset on Saturdays and Sundays from Memorial Day to Labor Day. This employee's duties should include ensure that large groups who have received permission to use the park have adequate dedicated space for their event, ensure safe and manageable parking for all vehicles, direct paddleboarders and kayakers to safe location to launch vessels, ensure that all dogs are leashed and supervised, have the authority to turn people away when the park has reached capacity, set number of people and/or vehicles. Please consider charging a fee at the park entrance, at least to the out-of-state and out-of-town guests, to finance the park employee. Yesterday at 4:30 p.m., there was a wedding, a reunion, and another large party using the park, in addition to the usual parkgoers and their roaming dogs. The parkland is being destroyed by this heavy, unsupervised use. Chaffin Islands Park is a gorgeous and unique town property. Something needs to be done immediately to prevent its further destruction. Sincerely, Wendy North, Chaffin Island Road, Guilford, Connecticut. You want to leave this on the new business? We can discuss both the issues with Chaffin Island and the other letter I just wrote. Sorry, item number 4, approval of minutes. Anybody have any changes?
I move that we approve the minutes as read.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Minutes, bills approved. Minutes approved.
2 fingers too. I just thought
Approval of bills.
Okay, those we just got today.
and there is one correction on it. It's a different format. I spoke with Sheila Valano this morning, and the report we've been getting has been coming from the Board of, from the Finance Office. And they want us to create our own reports from now on, which will look different from this, but we had to get something in for today, because I just got this message today. So Bonnie just went through all the bills that we have, just to list them for now, and eventually we'll put them by category, so we have them by, maintenance and fields and community center or whatever. But one to take out is, if you go on the second page, Schumach Engineer Construction, $174,000. That shouldn't be in there, that's under Steve Grant. That's what we paid for the construction at Jacobs Beach, so you'd subtract that, it's $56,194. Now, this is lower than most months because we don't have the payroll stuff in here. When finance gives it to us, we have the payroll numbers, which, quite frankly, I don't know if you need to approve those because they've already been paid anyway. But these are the bills, for the different suppliers and the, people we buy our product materials from. So it should be $56,194 is what we're asking you to approve.
I move that we approve the total of bills for this month at $56,194.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The bill's approved in the amount of $56,194. Just a quick question on the bills, Rick. That commercial air services, was that the compressors that we agreed to pay for the air conditioning unit?
$9,173 on the first page.
Right after the last CLP bill. Commercial air services.
Good question, I'll double check that. It shouldn't be that, I think we paid everything already for the.
Yeah, that's why I
If it is, I'm sorry, I don't know that, I'll double check.
no problem, that's why I asked.
Bottom line might change a little bit.
I totally
Maybe it'll go
yeah,
down.
that's okay.
I'll check into that, good question.
Old business, standing field committee.
There was no meeting in June, so no report.
Okay, 6B, the Jacobs Beach project.
Okay, I'm sure everybody's been down to the beach and either checked it out or gone swimming or, it looks phenomenal, it really does. I've been down several times at different times during the day just to get a feel for what's going on down there. And I have to say that I can't compare it to how it's been as far as use, but it seems like people are really embracing it. I always go out and talk to people and try and get a sense of what they like, if they don't like something, if they, have a problem. And I've had nothing but positive feedback. The grooming machine was there one day when I was there, and they had just finished grooming it. And the sand was like powder. It was wonderful. And I know that they've said that they've had good luck, getting stuff up. And people are thrilled with it. They love the texture of the sand and the fact that that's improving. They also love the trees, the new location of how you come in and where you can park. And they love the aesthetic. So everybody that I've talked to has been very happy. They asked about the boardwalk. That was one thing. And I always explained to people when I met with them that the bathhouse was in progress. So right now, the contracts are complete. There's some small punch list of some items that need to be done. In regards to the bathhouse, the repairs, there's just a few things that the town staff has to do with, like lighting and some small fixtures that have to go up. Other than that, that everything's pretty well complete. We finally got the bath situation taken care of with the toilets and so forth. Rick and Will have started to plan for the timing for the new boardwalks. And I think, Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, that they may go out to bid late summer, possibly for fall start time.
That's the intention. Will and I are going to meet with Pam Millman tomorrow
Okay.
and kind of look at the schedule, but we were talking about trying to get the bid documents completed, go out to bid by late August for
Okay.
construction starting in September.
Yeah, that's what I had
Yeah.
had learned. Other than that, I think everything really went really very smoothly. Considering, projects always have little snafus, but all in all, we really had good luck, and I think the company that we worked with was wonderful. They
They did an
really
excellent
did a
job.
good job.
How have the parents, now that camp is in progress, Rick, have they responded to the new, much safer turnaround where you can drop your children off?
Well, not all of them use it, because everybody wants, they're all coming at the same time. And so, and I asked Ellen today, because she was down there today, you know, at the beginning, and I asked her, I said, how did that work out? And when they're all getting there at the same time, they're just looking for a place to park, get their kids signed in and leave. But she said the little stragglers who came in a little bit later, they were using that, and then they still have to come, they have to still get out though and walk their kid over and sign in, so they can't just drop them
Yeah.
off.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, some used it. I think it's a good thing to have there. I think it's good even for picnics when people are dropping off their you know, coolers or gear or whatever for picnics. They can have that area there too. The first big event, large big event, was the Soccer Fest was there a week ago Saturday, and I was down there that Saturday night. We opened up the grass area to let them park. John Cunningham and Will and I had talked that day. There was one area that was a little bit soft, so I put up some stakes and caution tape to block off this one spot, but it worked out fine. We had one of our gate guards, John Chrysicola, was there parking the cars to make sure they kind of lined up in an orderly fashion. That was Saturday. I was there I didn't get there Sunday, but Monday morning, I went back to see how the place looked. You wouldn't know they were there.
No.
I mean, it was clean, and there were no tire tracks or anything, so that was our first big test.
Yeah, I actually went that Monday after just to see how it's gonna look afterwards, and I was just so pleased that
Yeah.
it looked like we hadn't even really used it, so.
There's a little bit we have to do in the fall. You know, the area that got seeded just beyond, between the picnic shelters and the basketball court, it was kind of late when that happened, and so, you know, Will and I talked about that. I mean, our guy, we have the equipment to do that. We'll just seed that in the fall and make sure we get it watered, and it'll fill in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it looks
but
great.
yeah, I think it looks good.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
nice to see people down there.
Just to add to what Sue said, ditto, I've been down there almost every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as regular test, including this morning again. And similar to what you said, I solicit input from the various people, both out of towners and the Guilford residents that have been there, what they thought, what they'd like to see change, what they think, like to see in the future. And the approval of that project is overwhelmingly
Yeah.
positive. And thank you, Sue, and thank you, Barbara, for a job well done. I know we're not finished, we got still some work to do, but I'm very happy what's happened down there that transpired and all the feedback. I only had one telephone call with an issue, and it wasn't even a complaint, it was just an issue that the bathrooms weren't done. They kind of said, did you do it backwards, and shouldn't you have done the bathrooms first? But the individual was very nice on the phone and understood when I told him we had delays with the providers getting us the equipment that we had ordered. So that went well, and I'm just real excited. We've had 2 special events down there now. Rick didn't mention the lacrosse, youth lacrosse moved their year-end party or whatever it was from, what field was
Fireman's
it?
Field.
Fireman's Field down at Jacobs Beach, and that went very, very well. We still had the parking area roped off a little bit, but most of the people the overflow went down to Chittenden, and then, but now that grass is taken, we can open that as we need to in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm just very, very happy with what's happened. Wonderful job.
Soccer Fest also had a shuttle bus, which helped too, because with 800 people, no way they're going to get all those cars in there. So they shuttled people from the Marina Park a lot also, so that was a big help too, to take a little traffic off the beach area.
Yeah.
Ralph, do you want to talk about the plaque before you move from
Sure, why not?
Jacobs?
It's part of it.
So this is, it would probably be bronze. I think Will's thinking of mounting it on the bathhouse, maybe like where the map of the project is right now, or somewhere in that area. But he just presented this to me today, and I wanted to be sure that the commission agreed with this and what's on here. Or do we want to consider putting the 2 contractors on here too? I don't know if normally that goes on plaques, when they got paid to do the work, or do they, I don't know. But do we put them on there too, or is this good as what we got here?
Well, you won't even know who will win the bid for the boardwalk, so you.
True. Yeah, unless we waited and added that later, yeah.
Is it typical, I guess the thing is to find out. if
Well,
you-
they've done it with
if they
school
don't,
buildings
yeah.
and stuff in this building, but I don't know, I got mixed emotions about it. It's not like we had a park and rec building built or we're building a new high school. You recognize the architects, the committee in particular. There's one particular name, I don't know if I would put it on here, but, well, you know, we think we need to put the contractor that did the grading and everything else, but how many other contractors did we have?
Yeah.
The landscaper,
Well, two main contractors, yeah, there's two main contractors.
and potentially a third with a boardwalk
Yeah.
that we'd have to add later on. I don't care one way or the other. Neither here nor there to me, but it's okay with it, it's okay without it.
I would say based on the size of the project, just
Yeah.
put the architect
Just
and
what
the
you
and
have here.
landscape architect.
Those are the key
Yeah.
components
Why?
of driving it,
Yeah.
as far as those two fellows.
Because that's
We'll
politically
talk
correct.
off, yeah, well,
Okay.
historical.
Well, so do we want to make a decision?
Sure. A motion that, I need to hear a motion that we have a plaque constructed out of bronze, did I hear? Is that what
Is
this
this
is?
exactly
Somebody else
how
said
it's
that,
going
correct?
to be? Is this exactly how it's going to read, or just because there's commas after your name, but not after Rick's name before director, and
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we'll have to,
I didn't know if this was
and I don't even
exact.
know that it's necessary, you don't have to put chair down there, just put the people who are on the committee, that's me.
So,
So should we make a motion to accept the plaque to be made in the specified material that Will would suggest with the
Editorial
corrections,
changes, yeah.
editorial changes?
Make a
Okay.
motion?
Motion made,
Motion
second?
made.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. How about the date on the bottom? It says rededicated June 30th. We
Did we
want to
have a
leave that?
dedication?
We did. I was thinking, 'cause it was kind of pretty
That's
much
right.
completed by then.
The editorial editing
Right.
can be fine-tuned.
Yeah, you may want to discuss that date a little bit. I mean, it's nothing really critical. And the commas and the,
Yeah.
between the names and whatever.
And you want to chair after yours, Ralph, or not?
Yeah,
Okay,
Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
yes,
Yeah,
you are
look
the
at
chair.
us.
Whatever.
But I would also change it to Barbara vice chair.
Want to know who to
because
blame?
it should have-
Yeah, that's true.
Yep, that's
It
true.
should be Barbara underneath vice chair,
Right.
and then start with the others.
I just want to know what vice she's chair.
Speaking of that, we talked last meeting about having a dedication, Barbara had asked, and you had said we were planning on it. Any
We
movement
thought about
towards
something
that?
in
or-
July, but I think July's gonna come and go. I mean, right now, we have a lot of effort going into our biggest event of the year, the community picnic and
Oh, sure.
fireworks, which is this weekend. So it probably isn't gonna happen in July, and, you know, one of our program staff is off this week, another one is off next week. I'm off, the last week of July, I
You
think.
get
So
time off?
I'm trying to take a few days here.
Good.
I
So
lose 'em.
maybe we can look towards an August time.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a huge thing like the community picnic, though. I mean, I think if we just had a ribbon cutting ceremony and invited the paper to come.
Yeah,
I
and,
think
you
we
know,
should
you
have
can have the
some
board of
acknowledgement
selectmen and
that-
invite them.
I think we should have some acknowledgement that it's a completed
Yeah.
I agree
project.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
On
Yeah.
this plaque, is it referring to Ralph as chair of the Park and Rec Commission or chair of the Building Committee?
Yeah, that's a good point.
that's why I think the editorial work needs to be done as far as,
Because if he's being referred to as chair of
It
the.
looks like he's chair
Park
of
and
this
Rec, that's
committee.
confusing.
I wasn't really the chair of that committee,
Right.
so.
I think
I would take
off
my
chair.
name off
take
the bottom,
chair
see
off.
where it says Rick Manning, director?
You should put it underneath, put.
Either,
yeah.
either on top of that or underneath,
Put
you know,
chairman,
Ralph
Park and Rec.
Trapani, chair.
Yeah.
And then leave the building committee members as Barbara Pines, Susan Robbins, James Goodrich, Karen Graven, Joseph Nugent.
And-
Because I really didn't participate for one or two meetings as a
And
committee
Ralph, you
member.
put your name down, like by mine there?
Yes.
Yeah,
and there should be chairman.
and
Park
put a
and Rec.
junior after it. That's why my son doesn't take credit. Well, you don't know him. So I had to come up for his kids, see?
Look what Daddy did. And should it be chairman, Park and Rec Commission,
Mhm.
so that there's a distinguishing
Mm-hmm.
factor?
Yeah, but if you do that, you're gonna have this huge long thing, it's gonna be all out of scale. You know, all the names are short and close together.
Well, why don't we retype it with some editorial changes, and then we can look at it to see how it looks visually,
Yeah.
once it's kind of
Yeah, I can have
reworked.
I mean, if
Ralph redo it.
90% of
Ralph-
it's short, then you got one great big long piece.
Yes.
You know,
We'll
it
redo
looks
it.
silly.
Yeah, just,
I mean, if you wanna have Bonnie redo it, or whoever had done it, and then I can
Will
come in
did
and
it.
look at
It's
it.
getting expensive, you see.
You know, Barbara and I can look at it.
Right.
Before we send it out to.
We could just make it Arsha opinion, make it shorter.
Yeah.
Okay.
where are you gonna put this, by the kiosk or on the bathhouse or? the-
I think we're thinking on the bathhouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make those changes. I'll ask Will to make those changes and I'll email it to everybody. Is that what we want to do?
Is that what, did he put this
He
together?
did this, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And would it
Wanna
be
have to
building
send it to-
committee? Would we call it building committee members or?
It's
That's why I
part-
think we need to sit down with
Yeah,
him.
we need to sit
Yeah.
down and.
Why
do
don't
it.
you just, shall we just sit down with him, or just have him, well, how about Barb and I sit down and we can rework it and then send it to him with the
Okay.
changes?
Yeah, that'll be a
And
good idea.
Okay.
That's great.
when he puts it together, he can send it back to us and we'll
Yeah.
look at it
Okay.
for final approval.
Good.
So we're,
Yes.
So are we in agreement that Sue and I would take care of it with him, with Will, and we don't need to come back here?
Correct.
Okay, just to make sure.
Based on the job you just did with the whole project itself, I have no problem with you two doing the plaque.
The only thing that concerns me is if it was rededicated June 30th, that really isn't true in the minutes.
that
So
needs to be changed.
if we should pick a date to at least have a ribbon cutting. And
That can all be worked in when we're making the approval of
Right.
the
Yeah,
dedication.
see how long this is gonna
Right.
get to be
Yeah.
made, yeah?
Right.
Question that date, yeah.
Okay.
Item 6C, Chittenden Park Boardwalk.
Not so much new.
Yeah.
Will's working on the permit, beginning to work some more on the permitting process. Now that Jacobs Beach is kind of a little bit behind, she's starting to work on that one a little bit, but nothing new.
6D, Town's 375th Anniversary Celebration. She's not here.
Only Jack is here.
And Sue- and
And me.
Suzanne.
Oh, Suzanne.
Yeah, I'm on New Year's Eve.
Which one? Oh, New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Have they had a meeting recently?
There's
Yes.
one tomorrow night.
Okay,
There's one tomorrow
so we
night.
can hold off on a report on that until, to the August meeting.
You
Okay.
might want to hear a little bit about the last meeting, though.
Okay.
I'll be brief. It was really the National Trails Day portion of the signature events. And before that, Rick made a nice presentation on the Chittenden Beach Boardwalk, how that fits into the entire trails concept. And the Chittenden Beach Boardwalk is going to be the gateway to the entire New England trails. And as a part of that, there's also going to be a off-road foot race that's going to start at the Connecticut-Massachusetts border on the New England Trail and come all the way down to the gateway. And the signature, it's about 100 miles.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's going to take place, and I'm not kidding, June 6th, 7th, and 8th
June?
of 2014. And
Sixth,
it starts in the evening of June 6th, which is a Friday. And I guess the first runners will be coming across the finish line at the Chittenden Park on Sunday morning. And that prompted me to ask a question. I said, are they going to run through the night? And the man who's in charge of it said, yeah. And they'll be running through 2 nights, Friday and Saturday. And he's a local guy, Jerry Turk. And he's a trail runner, and he's involved in these extreme road races. And this is extreme for me. And he said, you know, there'll probably be about 100 entrants, which is a good size for something like that. It's probably a good size for us to handle the first time around. So that's going to be quite an event.
Did they do that road race off Are those trail race often, or is this just because?
Well, they're doing it for us, but I guess he conducts races in Connecticut, 50 kilometers. And I think he did one in October from Durham all the way down to Guilford Lakes and around. And
Yeah,
so he
Bluffhead
does,
area.
he does them all the time.
You might have heard of him with Bimbler's Bash, Bimbler's Run. He's done trail races in shorter races, like 6 to 10 mile
Right.
races in West Woods, and
Yeah.
he's very big into the trail running, and he puts these races on, and he's got the timing clocks, and he does the whole thing.
And he's got aid stations and this
Yeah.
station and that station. In fact, his webpage is
Wow.
www.mrbimble, BIMBLE.com.
NISTE or MR?
MR. MRBIMBLE.com.
What were the dates of that, Jack?
Fourth
June
and sixth.
6th,
6th, 7th?
7th, and 8th of
So-
2014.
So they're gonna finish in the morning on this Sunday?
Sunday?
Apparently, yeah.
That would be a boon for like local businesses if there's 100 runners and people coming.
Well, that's
to
part of
see
the
them.
thinking.
Yeah.
Paul May is the chairman of that committee.
Yeah.
And he's thinking of all sorts of tie-ins as well.
What kind of celebration they're planning at the end of the run? You know, as far
There's
as-
supposed to be maybe a parade, and in conjunction with that, they want to have a parade on the green with the, the little folks fair. I know I
Oh,
took my
that's that weekend,
granddaughter to
yeah.
that.
That's still
the
on
first time this
Saturdays,
year.
yeah.
It's on a Saturday.
The first
And
Saturday?
They took up half of the green, there were so many.
Yeah.
So they want to try to have a parade in conjunction with that.
Wow, ambitious.
Yes, it is. It is. And then, of course, they're going to have the dedication of the trail. And they want to invite the politicians, federal, state, national, local.
And isn't there a rededication of the charters?
That'll take place at the intersection of Whitfield Street and Old Whitfield Street. There's that little triangular piece of
Yes.
land. And I think a 25-foot marble column is going to be there. At first, I asked them, is it going to be straight in the air? And they said, no. It's going to be flat on the ground, and it's going to have the original charter that the folks who came over from England signed out in the water.
Of the covenant, right?
And interestingly, only the men were allowed to sign the compact.
Things were different.
That was in
Surprise.
1639.
That should be interesting.
So
Wow.
that's going to be engraved or chipped in marble as well.
And Kathy
So-
reminds me it's a covenant, not the charter.
They go by both. I was reminded of that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the covenant had more of a biblical connotation because they were Puritans. Yeah. So, and that committee now, Paul May's committee is going to meet every month now because things are starting to accelerate.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds exciting. 6E, Eagle Scout Projects, Bocce Courts and Long Hill Park Barn.
The bocce courts are in progress. Progress.
Yeah, I saw the gravel there today.
Yeah, well, he started working on it on Saturday. They actually pretty much built it Saturday. They had Anthony LaFawn and Company helping them out, grading it and laying it off and placing the stone dust in place. They still have to do the border boards around it, but it's taking shape. So the scout troop was down there Saturday. They took a big chunk out of getting it done.
Rose will be happy.
The Long Hill Park barn, I haven't heard back from
Nothing done.
the young man that's doing that one yet, but when I was out there, we were just there, I was just talking with one of the football guys this afternoon. He said he hasn't heard anything from him because they were going to talk to him about maybe having youth football help cover the cost of the paint for the barn. But the youth football is excited that they're willing to do this, and they're totally supportive of the project, but just haven't heard anything from the scout in a little bit. So one is in progress and should be done soon, and the other one we're still waiting on.
Do we need to tap him on the shoulder, or we feel confident that he'll get back to us?
Yeah, I think I may contact him because I think it'd be good to get it done before youth football starts. in the
Yeah,
fall.
which is in another month.
Yeah, right.
That's what I asked.
Yeah, he's in the previous month's minutes.
6F, tourism kiosk. I understand there might be some some questions or issues that had been raised, other than the ones that we raised as a commission? You mentioned something to me. Eric.
Yeah, just I think that, I didn't know if we might want to talk about this. You know, we approved this is the kiosk, it's going to go here. Last month, I don't remember from the minutes if we approved any kind of conditions with that. I'm only thinking, I remember Shirley Gerioni saying that they were going to man it or control it for 2 years, and after that, give it up to the town, which sounds like the town is our department probably. And so I'm just thinking ahead, so what happens if there's maintenance issues, if there are technological issues with their push-button computer thing, is it going to become our responsibility? You know, do we have to, are we taking electrical bills at some point? Or
No, we asked them that
We
question.
asked them that at that meeting.
They said they could
they
put in
could.
a separate meter
Right,
for their utilities. That was a quote.
for that part, yeah.
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 We,
But
we-
what if-
we only approved the concept, we didn't say we would take it over, and I wouldn't just
Absolutely not.
assume,
Yeah.
I wouldn't assume that it would be us, it's a town project, it's an economic development project, I would see it under Brian McClellan's office. I wouldn't go forward thinking just because it's outside of the building that we are, you know, that we are the
Yeah.
overseers
I
for,
agree.
that it's
Right.
going to be our project, absolutely not.
So I didn't know, I just wondered, do we want to put that stipulation in there somehow?
Well,
So
I think we have to make it
That's a
clear
discussion that needs to-
that the only thing we committed, this commission committed to, was allowing them to build the kiosk on that piece of property that's currently managed by the Park and Rec Department and the commission. We had nothing. It was my understanding that they weren't going to ask for any of our help, and I missed the 2-year limitation. But no, I am not planning, or I don't think our department should be planning on manning or staffing. And I agree with Barbara, that's something that
agree.
comes out of the Economic Development Commission.
If you look back at the minutes that
The motion?
the motion, it says, Ms. Pine made a motion that the commission supported the concept of the information tourism kiosk to be placed on the community center property. Seconded and carried unanimously, so we just made a motion to.
And we made that motion to the town, the governing body of the selectmen, because they're the ones who have to give approval to anything that happens on,
Correct.
it's not our property, it's, we only indicated our support for the concept.
Correct.
We can't give permission for something to be there, that has to come from the selectmen.
I thought she said she was going to go back to the town fathers after the last meeting, and
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
She did,
with
She
the
has to.
understanding that we basically approved the concept.
right, we supported
Okay,
the concept.
Right, that's what the motion was, support the concept of the information tourism kiosk to be placed.
Do we know if the selectmen have taken this up for their consideration?
Not all the other boards and commissions are on board.
Oh, with the idea? So the selectmen will be responsible to poll the different commissions who might have a say?
I think that's what the GPA is doing, because the selectmen wanted to know that all the relevant bodies were on board before
Okay.
they would assume the project and start putting it forward, and
Okay.
they aren't, so.
It's not
So we
happening
really kind of
as
stepped out of that.
quickly?
That's
So
really no
until
longer
that
under
wrinkle
our
gets worked
umbrella.
out.
Okay, all right, but I mean, I think we want to reiterate that we gave the concept our support. That's all we did.
But I
And said we
think
could
you
put it on the
should also
property and
state that
they went
you
over the
don't
design
see
plans, but I didn't
yourself
think there was
taking
anything else.
No, and that, putting it
Well-
there is, we don't mind, but the town still has to approve it.
Right.
Right,
I
but
mean,
maybe we should go on record tonight as saying we want it to be clear, should the project go forward, that this is not in any way to be considered a park and recreation department project.
No.
I agree.
Agreed.
So I move that we convey to the first selectman, again reiterating our approval of the concept, but making it clear that we would not be in favor of any responsibility
No, agreed, on any level.
on any level to man or run the kiosk.
Maintain,
Man, run, and maintain.
Maintain.
And
Right.
repair, upgrade.
Right. Paint full with the computer.
yeah. Do we need to make a motion and second?
I moved, I moved.
Yeah, we
Okay.
need a second.
Second?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Rick, can you draft something up and then maybe send it out to the commission, and then we can edit or whatever shape or form before you send it off to Joe?
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't just send it to Joe. I would send it to the Board of Selectmen, 5 of them.
I
What do you
don't see
think?
why it has to come back to us.
Yeah,
We
it
have a
doesn't-
motion, we have 2 motions, the wording of both motions can just be forwarded and
Okay.
quoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Joe did ask me after the last meeting, what, I said we approved the concept of it, and just basically that's all it was, you know, that we
It is,
approved the
it's all-
concept of being on this patch of grass right over here.
But rather than make them go to look at our minutes, I think it would be good if you conveyed
Yeah,
what our 2 motions were.
mhm,
Mhm.
okay,
We just need clarity as far as future responsibility.
okay.
6H, fireworks. Well, they're gonna go off. and
It's
I
this
think
Saturday,
we're home free.
Rain date Sunday, and the community picnic, I should mention too, is also
Okay.
Saturday. The community picnic is on the green from 4 to 7. I spoke with Mark Gomm, the high school band director, last week. He's got his 100-piece band he's putting together, and I always find it amazing that they have 4 rehearsals.
Yeah.
And they put together a band that does a 2-hour concert
I know,
and
it's-
4 rehearsals.
A good concert.
It's very good, very high quality. You know, it's a combination of high school, college, you know, students, adults, and some professional musicians, and it's wonderful. So they do that, and then we have the, you know, the inflatable moon bounces and giant slides and the rock climbing wall for the kids. I believe the Lions Club is back this year to sell hot dogs and hamburgers. They missed a couple of years, and they're coming back this year to do that. And then the fireworks, we also have some inflatables at the fireworks too for kids while they're waiting for the fireworks. There's plenty for them to do. And then we have 4 bands from the Battle of the Bands that'll be playing starting at 7:30 till about 9:15 or so. And we're doing one thing a little different this year. Instead of somebody singing the national anthem, we have one of the kids who's now a senior in high school going to school for music next year, who is a really talented guitar player who's going to play it. And he showed us, we auditioned him last week, he had a Jimi Hendrix version.
I was just gonna ask.
And he had one of the old songs, so we toned it down a little bit.
So Woodstock and Guilford?
Yeah, right.
I
Bring them on.
we are not gonna play the Jimi Hendrix version.
No, no.
I listened to that and watched that on
We
TV,
toned it down a little bit.
and I almost turned it off.
But I had him, I asked him to hold the note where it's rockets, red glare, bombs bursting, to hold that note a little bit because we have to give time for they send 2 rockets, shells up when they do that. And the timing's always been perfect. And so just hold that note a little bit just to, you know, for the effect. So I think he's going to come back one more time this week to play it again for us, but he'll do a good job with it. It's a little different. We've always had somebody sing it. But this kid's he's a good guitar player. He's been in the Battle of the Bands for a bunch of years with us, and we'll give him a shot. So I think it'll be interesting. But I wanted to mention that I got a phone call. We raised all the money that we need. However, money can still come in because anything that we collect now is seed money for next year. We only have what we have because we had $1,200 left over from last year. Without that, we'd be in the hole. We don't need any of our
good.
funds to do this. But an anonymous donor called me last Wednesday and asked what we were short, and I told her it was $885. She came in later that day and wrote a check for $885.
Oh, wonderful.
It's the largest donor that we have. We have some others in the $500 range, and you know, a lot of donors. And then the Boy Scout troop 471 and 474. With the inspiration of Ray Luden, one of the fundraisers, they were out at Walmart on Saturday, in front of Walmart and also the Big Y parking lot, and they collected about $880 on Saturday.
Awesome.
So it's wonderful. We had a lot of people came forward late in the game here and put us over the top, so we're thankful for that. And the Boy Scouts again came through to help out.
Such a great group.
So we're thankful. That's the fireworks. We're ready to go.
Okay, yeah, and I actually skipped an item here, but going back to the fireworks, I think one of the things as a commission we need to think about is how we approach this for next year. Obviously, very, very popular, but I don't want to be exposed to having our programs pay for the fireworks, because theoretically, the fireworks are one of our programs. So maybe we need to put something back in the budget
Yeah,
next year
or-
as a commission, and then we'll take it up with the selectmen and the Board of Finance when the issue arises itself. So I think it's something we need to consider when budget time comes around, because I'm looking at you because I'm assuming you're gonna participate with this.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And Ralph, if you don't mind me mentioning, Adrian Price, Ray Luden, and Ed Bartlett were the committee. It's three guys that did, and really Adrian did the biggest portion of it, not to take away from the other guys, but it's a committee of three doing all the fundraising for this, and they did a great job.
But based on the community response, I think maybe we need more than those three. We
Yeah.
need to do more. Because I think, based on what you just told me, Boy Scouts in one day collected almost $1,000. Maybe we need to have some more organizations in town just go stand in front of Walmart or stand in front of Big Y or do a collection at a soccer tournament or something at Lobster Fest. I don't know. I'm just,
Well, the more
randomly
tentacles
picking.
you have, the better.
Yeah,
It's
so
really nice that the
I think we need to
community's
give them
putting
some
on their
help
own
too with
show.
some other
You know,
ideas.
they're paying for it,
Yeah.
and they're, I think that's the nice part about it.
Yeah.
Well, what they do at Branford is that as you're walking into the park, they have people there collecting money for the following year.
That's a
So-
good idea.
So they do get a fairly decent participation with that.
Well, if nothing else, you got seed money like Rick talked
Right.
about,
That's a
and
really
you'll
good
know where
idea.
you have to go after that, right?
In last year, Cindy Cartier, I think the last 2 years, she went around with a can, and some of the scouts worked with her last year. I don't think they were at the entrance, but they were
Through the crowd.
going through the crowd. They collected, I think it was $900-something last year.
There you go.
Yeah.
The more events, I mean,
Yeah.
like Ralph said, the more events.
Yeah, the more opportunity we have to reach to the community, it sounds like we could be very successful. However, I do think it's something we should consider putting back into the budget.
Right.
Okay, I want to go back to tourism, not the tourism
Food
kiosk,
vendors.
the food vendors, I skipped that. I have spoken to 3 or 4 different vendors in town, and I told them that it's preliminary discussions we're having. I don't know if it would be for a week, just on Friday nights and on weekends, but 3 different individuals with different products said they'd be really interested in looking at what the proposal would be if we decide to do that next year. So it's something.
It's
next
too
year.
late for this year, but next year.
I think we'd be pushing it for this year and maybe biting, I'm worried about liability and what it is and isn't, if we have any, and do we have to provide, I'm assuming they're a vendor, they're gonna be selling food, like I run the Legion program. I help, my insurance is taken out with the town of Guilford, is also covered with it. So I don't know, I just think it's something we need to talk about if we think we even wanna do it, and then we'll go from there. So we could present them a package and say, hey, put in a bid, and tell us what you want to sell, and that we'd limit it to one. I did say to all 3 of them, the 4th one today, that I'm not gonna have 5 hamburger vendors, or 5 hot dog vendors, and 5 ice cream vendors. Best bidder, one guy, one business, so.
Well,
We could talk about it.
we should put this on the agenda early on,
Yeah.
so that we're ready for,
Yeah.
because it's a whole, procedure to let everybody know, a
Mhm.
fair, transparent process has to be undertaken. So I think we should put it on for the fall, once we
I
get.
was just gonna say September, October,
Yeah,
at
right.
the latest.
You'd have to do that too, because these vendors are also competing in other towns.
Absolutely.
If they can't get Guilford,
A lot
they're
of
gonna
them
go
do
somewhere
fairs.
else.
That's
They
right,
do
and,
fairs and things like that. right.
4-day fairs, so,
Right. I mean,
just a thought, I mean,
by the first of the year, we should have it all set up, I would
Yeah.
say,
Yep.
ready to go. We know who they
if we
are.
decide we wanna do it, absolutely.
And we said before, we were gonna wait and see how this year goes anyway. We were gonna
See
feel it
how
out.
the use of the park went.
And Ralph, I forgot to mention, we do have 3 food vendors at the fireworks too this year.
Right.
Yeah, and
2 of
plus
whom I think I
extra.
spoke to.
Yeah, yeah.
What-
Well, local businesses.
What food?
It's Naples Pizza, Pizza
Yeah.
Truck, Bobby's Dogs, Hot Dogs,
Yeah.
Local.
Mariano's Bakery, the cannolis,
Okay,
and then the ice cream truck.
okay. So 4.
County ice cream, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't speak to Mariano's, but I did speak to the other 3.
Okay.
I may have eaten some of the cannolis for them. 7A, Chaffin's Island Park.
That was regarding that letter.
Yeah.
Do we know, Rick, if I mean, the person that wrote the letter is a nearby resident?
Yes.
Is it your experience, have you been down on a weekend to see the crowds that the writer is talking about?
I
Extent of
haven't
the
seen
crowds?
those, I've been there weekends, but not these big weekends. That particular day that she's referring to, I did look back in the computer. There was I don't remember if it was a wedding, but there was an event from noon to 3:30 and another one from 4 to 8. Now, people do make reservations, and a lot of times we have wedding ceremonies there, not receptions, but ceremonies.
And they actually reserve with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no fee unless, we've never established a fee for down there. I think there's a VA group that has a picnic every year there. There's a handful, it's nothing like Jacobs Beach. We're getting more, though, to her point. There are more of those large groups that are, I don't say large groups that are coming and reserving it. It's not every weekend, but on that particular day, June 15th, there were 2 events from 1 noon to 3:30. And one of them, I think it was a wedding. They probably weren't there all that time. They might have booked it from noon to 3:30, but maybe, they set up a tent, tables, chairs or whatever. The ceremony was probably an hour, but, the time they were there. But whenever a group does reserve it, we also say it's a park, so it's open to the community. So you don't have the whole park to yourself. If you're having a wedding or having wedding pictures being taken, just keep in mind, there could be other people there walking behind your camera or whatever, It's open to everybody. But we also know there's very limited parking down there. So sometimes with these groups, I tell them there's, space for 12, 20 cars, whatever it is down there. But and sometimes they shuttle in from someplace because they might have more people than, especially if it's a wedding, or they carpool or whatever. They know there's limited parking. But to Mrs. North's point, I know there have been times where the cars have parked on the roadway coming in. That's a pretty narrow road.
Yeah.
I guess we could, ask the police department to post it, no parking, but signs only work if people read them and they're, somebody
And obey
enforces
them.
them. Yeah.
It seems to me that we got a letter very similar to this, about this time of year last year, from
Yeah.
the same party.
Mhm.
And, we responded, I remember that we responded, but it feels to me as if we really don't have the data we would need to make any kind of decision about the things that she suggests. Like getting a staff person and that kind of thing. So what could we do to have more data to go on? Could we take turns going to Chaffinch Island? One of us go on a Saturday, one go on a Sunday, and see what it really is like down there? You know what I'm saying? In other words,
Kind of police it ourselves. and
yeah,
see
well,
what it looks
just to
like,
just to
get
gather
a
the data,
feel
just to get a feel for
what's
what the
going
use
on.
of the park is. Because whenever I'm there, it's like you have the park almost to yourself,
Mhm.
except for a few quahoggers or fishermen or.
And depending on what time of day you go to, if you try to go during high tide, you can't get in there very well because the water's up over the
Right,
road.
right.
In fact, there was a Saturday, I took a ride down there on my bike, but I couldn't go because the water was that deep and I wasn't going to get through it, so I ended up turning around and going home. I just didn't look at the tide chart, but, and that's something that the town is addressing, I think with the capital project money that was
Raising
approved this year, they're
roads.
going to be raising some roads, and that's one of them, I believe, that's getting raised.
Is that
down
one?
there. So
Okay.
that'll help eliminate that, but it might increase traffic there
Yeah,
too.
right.
I'm not sure what she means by the parkland is being destroyed by the heavy unsupervised use. I mean, we saw the damage from the hurricane down there.
There's a lot of erosion from the hurricane,
Yeah.
and another, again, Boy Scouts again went down there a couple, this is one of the Saturdays I was there, and there was nobody there. It was earlier in, it was in May, I think. The scout group was down there doing some cleanup for us, and there was a group there on a Thursday also. 2 different troops went down to clean up, and so there was still some brush and stuff that was washed up in the storm or destroyed, and they piled. In fact, today our guys took it out of there. They piled up near where the grassy area where the porta-john is, on that sort of island, there. And our guys took it out of there today. So yeah, there's a lot of erosion. That if you park and you go straight across toward the West River, there was a lot of erosion there from the hurricane,
yeah.
and a lot of stuff washed up. So I think a lot of the damage there is because of
Yeah.
natural disasters have
Yeah.
happened.
Right.
Shells were washed up and sand and all that.
And lots of rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we went on
When we
Right.
did the
Yeah, we
park
saw
walk,
it,
lots
yeah.
of rocks.
Yeah,
There were a
I
lot of
remember
rocks.
seeing a lot of rocks, but I didn't see a lot of garbage or anything,
No.
you know.
No.
And that was early on. I think Memorial Day is always a big weekend. 4th of July this past weekend was probably big down there. But it is a beautiful park, and there are probably more people that use it than we have parking space for. And I understand her concerns. It could be overused and could cause some damage there, but I'm not sure how we stop it. you know, unless we do hire somebody, and right now, we don't have any funding to do that.
Or we decide that there's going to be a fee to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Then
all
we
of
would have to
that-
have adequate parking, and that would be a capital project
Right.
to try to,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. there's
And I'm
really no
not
place
sure
to-
that the site could even handle more parking.
It really could.
Maybe we
hardly.
could just commit kind of to be alert as a commission to tooling down that road and checking out the park at different times to see what we think of as the use,
Yeah.
is, you know, what's happening when, especially on weekends, to see if it's really,
Yeah, I think a
it's really something
combination.
we need to consider doing something about.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's one of those things where there's certain weekends, and mostly this time of year, where it tends to be like that, when 99% of the time it's quiet and like we find it, you know, hardly anybody there. But on the weekends, certainly, the volume of use is going to increase.
And she would know, because she lives there, so she
Right.
sees
Yeah.
the traffic that goes in and out of there, and I think it's good to be alerted to these things. This is a question of how do
Absolutely,
we-
and last year
Oh,
we
yeah.
thanked her for bringing
Yeah.
it to our attention.
Right.
But we really didn't do anything to keep track of
Right.
the use, so maybe this
Well, I
year
think-
we should try to
Yeah,
do
unless you
do
had a
that
body
more.
down there.
Well, you
As far
can
as
do,
out-of-towners and,
you know, paying a visit down there is not a problem. I don't know that I'd be too worried about it, what happens on Monday through Thursday.
No,
So,
it's the weekend.
maybe if we're made aware of as a commission, when there's gonna be a special event down there, like somebody's gonna have a wedding for 2-3 hours on a Saturday, we could commit to, you know, taking a ride by, seeing what's going on and what the issues may or may not be. And then, one person on the Saturday or Sunday,
right.
mid-afternoon, just ride by and take a look, and maybe do a head count. I don't know.
I think I looked ahead on the calendar, and I'm sorry, my allergies. I think that I only saw there's a date in August, I don't remember what it is, but it's something, thank you. But I didn't see anything else, there's nothing else in July that's scheduled there, that's scheduled through us. There maybe people just go there and have picnics that we don't know
Right.
about, but I only saw one thing scheduled in August.
You know, she could also alert us too. I
Yeah.
mean, we're local. If,
Well, although we're
give
not
you a
that
call,
weekend.
give somebody a buzz, and at that particular moment, or at least that particular day, so maybe one of us will be able to get down there, see what's going on. But we can't do anything from a budget perspective now to have somebody physically there, taking attendance, how many cars, how many
Charging
people.
a fee.
Charging
Yeah.
a fee, just not gonna happen this year.
But you
Then
do
we-
need a beach pass to get to Jacobs Beach, so perhaps we need Jacobs Park, Beach Park. Perhaps we, in the future, would consider something like that.
As long as we had somebody there to check them.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. The one thing that I think the new sign that the fellow made not too long ago, it could be added, could our logo be added somewhere to that so that it's very clear that this is a town of Guilford Beach?
That's one of the old signs there, right?
Yes, but it's
Yeah.
not too old. It was replaced at some point. It looks pretty good, but it doesn't have the consistency that we're hoping for all of our parks.
Maybe underneath it, just a
Yeah, just
separate
even,
piece. like
an
Yeah.
addition.
Yeah.
With our logo.
I'll talk to the sign guy and ask him if there's a way he can get that on
Yeah.
there.
Rick, at what point does the Shellfish Commission come into conflict or even into harmony with us? Because they're both approached through that gate. And the folks who go to Chafford's Island go to the left to the beach. And the Shellfish folks go straight to the right, where there's a dirt parking lot. I mean,
It's all part of Chaffinch Island Park, but yeah, there's that whole sort of other beach on the other side there, you know,
Yeah.
where they do the clamming, shellfishing. I mean, we don't do anything there. You know, it's
Yeah.
It's still our park.
it's our park.
Well, that was what I was
Yeah.
leading up to.
Yes,
The
because-
folks who want to go to the picnic side will also probably park in the Shellfish parking lot,
Good.
or the parking lot
Yeah.
for the Shellfish folks.
If the main parking lot gets filled up, they'll
Which
park
means
down there.
a lot of people are there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There could be 10 people shellfishing on any given day there, you know, and then that would take up that whole
Mhm.
area, you know. So it
John
does get
John
a
made
lot
a
of
good
use.
point last month about getting a handicap parking sign there, too. Because I went back there the
Designated
next
handicap
day,
parking.
and there wasn't one
I
there.
think you're right, there's not,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a completely separate issue from the letter, but that would avoid a future problem.
So it sounds like what we need to do is just kind of do an unofficial so, check and balance as far as what's going on down there on the weekends. And between all of us, if we pool all our pit stops over there and figure out what's going on weekends, maybe we could look for next year making some changes and how we address that park from our perspective, whether it's an added guard or on the weekends, a fee, whatever.
Agreed.
So we'll do that for now. You'll get back to respond to the letter.
Yeah, I'll let her know that we'll, as commissioners and I will take turns trying to get down and check
Nothing
it
we
out.
can do in this budget year, but it's certainly something we're gonna evaluate.
That we appreciate her bringing concerns to our attention.
And certainly if there is an event that's going on where the volume is concerning the road is, filled with cars or whatever, that maybe she'd call.
I
mean, there
can't
has to be a
imagine
fire.
parking on that street because
No.
that
You
was a
can't get
narrow
through.
road.
Yeah.
You'd close the street up.
See, now there's an interesting.
So I wonder if with the, have they ever had an instance where they had to call, didn't they call last year to the police and have them come down? There were a lot of cars, it was an event that caused a lot of cars
I
and
think it might have
noise.
been Memorial Day weekend last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And just before the gate, there's also a boatyard on the left as well.
That's where she lives.
yeah.
So, okay, because that might account for a lot of the parking as well.
I don't think they'd go for that.
You mean as far as why there's
On the
parking?
road. Why
Oh,
there's
parking on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know, you usually can go right into Brown's and park in there.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a parking lot in there.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we have an idea of how many cars that parking lot can accommodate? Maybe just put another little sign there that says maximum 20 cars. So, I mean, that may discourage the idea of people overusing the park.
Well, that's
Okay.
another strategy we could think about, so.
For next year.
For next, if we
Mhm.
decide that there really is overuse.
We're not allowing any parking at all.
Ooh.
We couldn't do
Let them
that.
take a walk down and park someplace else.
Can't do that.
Where would they park?
Where would they park? It would
Right.
That's the message.
It would mean no one.
They'd have to come in by boat
But after we
now.
make that vote.
Or the railroad tracks are out.
Okay.
Now we're gonna build a pier.
Business now.
We gotta get a new person for the budget.
All right, so we've got.
That was new business. Jeffers Island.
Oh, right.
Yes, it
Senior
is.
issues?
7B, senior issues.
Can we table that? Because Terry didn't have enough, she wasn't able to, she could have tried to come tonight, but she had a clerk, Board of Finance meeting in Cleveland or Madison or something, so
Sure.
it was gonna be a rush for us, so I said, well, why don't we put it off? I can just tell you a little bit about us. We're gonna have to discuss our bus policy. We're getting more and more requests to go farther out of town. And we talked about this a little while back, and at that time, it was very minimal. It was like, you could count on your hands the number of times we were going like past, to New Haven or farther. But we've been getting some requests for like Wallingford. I think they had one for Waterbury, and we said no. But the problem is, there used to be a Red Cross Rides program, which doesn't exist anymore. And so people need to get chemotherapy, for example, or something. The Red Cross volunteers used to bring them to New Haven, Yale, or whatever, and it doesn't exist anymore. That's how people used to be able to get rides, and now they're coming to us because there isn't that anymore. And so we're getting more requests to go farther out and for longer periods of time, and so we need to just have this conversation about it and what are we going to do. It's because from a human perspective, it's hard to say no to people who need to get to a treatment.
Right,
And how do you say, no, we're not going to bring you there? But it ties the driver up for, could be 2 hours.
at least.
And so,
Or Terry.
what other options do these people have? And so we find ourselves not saying no to people because they need the help, and we're trying to help. Terry put together, a list of how many hours, average hours per week, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think we were a little over what our budget was as far as numbers of hours. I think dollar-wise, we're probably okay. I don't think we're over, but dollar-wise. Because we have some new drivers, and, their pay is different from what was budgeted because the older drivers retired. So it's not a budget concept or a problem. And I think we raised the number of hours this year in the budget anyway, so we're closer to what number of hours we're actually paying people to drive right now. But I think we need to just look at what we're doing, how far are we gonna go? You know, like I said, we said no to the Waterbury one, we just said no, I mean, that's just too far to go, but anyway, without getting into a lot of more detail, because Terry really has more of the data than I have right here in front of me, but if we can talk about it more in detail in August, I'll have her come and.
Sure.
You know, and plus Judy and Rose, you know, she's involved in a lot of our senior program stuff, she sees a lot of what's going on. Probably better to have them here too when we talk about it, and more importantly, Terry needs to be here for it. So if you're okay with tabling that, then we'll have more information at that meeting.
It's taking us 15 minutes to table it.
Okay.
My feeling about when she puts the bus report together, though, she needs to have a unit of service, and it isn't just the number of people who ride, it's the number, you could say the unit of service is 1 passenger, 1 mile. She needs to convert what the department
Specifics.
does into units of service.
For many reasons. Insurance, mileage,
Right.
wear and tear, maintenance, purchase of vehicles, leasing of vehicles. It's not just giving somebody a ride.
Right.
Right,
So-
but you
And that's
understand
not
what I'm
what
saying
Park and
about
Rec is for, in my
about the
opinion.
concept
Like-
of unit of service?
Like passenger miles?
Yes, 1 passenger going 1 mile is
Yeah.
1 unit.
Right.
Whatever
If you
that
take the
unit is.
passenger 20 miles, it's 20 units.
Yeah.
Do they note what they're bringing people for what purposes? I mean, I would love to see how much is medical transport.
She hasn't, the medical
does.
rides has gone up a lot.
Yeah.
And so a lot more medical rides. Yeah, I mean, it's somebody just going to a hairdresser appointment, I mean, that's in town anyway,
Yeah.
that's something we've always done, but I think the increase, it's the medical stuff. We're not bringing somebody to New Haven to go grocery shopping.
Right.
You know, it's medical needs.
Well, I think private medical transportation is so expensive too, and I think that's probably why it's fallen.
Maybe one of the easiest questions you gotta start asking them is, do they have insurance and could they use private?
It usually doesn't cover.
That, I know people are not allowed to like what they're about to hear, but that's not what we're here for. It's my opinion and my opinion only.
There is a big volunteer group that drives people to medical appointments that operates in Essex. I know, because I know someone who volunteers for a former commissioner of this department, actually. But I believe it's not run out of the Parks and Recreation. Perhaps, perhaps someone could look
Social
into that and
service should be
see
one of
who
those.
runs it, what agency runs it, and how they organize it. Because I think there would be, just as there are plenty of people who volunteer to drive and deliver Meals on Wheels, there might be people who once a month would agree to
Right.
take
Good idea.
What about
That's a really
there's
good
a
idea.
senior village program that's getting going or trying to get going?
Right.
The
Yeah.
Bohune was
Right.
involved with.
Right.
I
They
think,
might-
that's faded, I think.
They might have something like that.
But there's a
starting up.
person who's in charge now, who's been hired as a staff person.
Yeah, I mean, they have a website.
I think this may have just started happening by default, because
Yes.
They've
there,
lost the
maybe
other
there
program.
isn't any knowledge of, maybe there are programs out there, so, you know. maybe
Especially if
somebody
they've
needs
gotten rid of the Red Cross one.
Yeah.
I would guess I would appreciate the discussion being informed by what Terry is able to find out other communities do.
Yeah.
This is not an isolated problem just to our town,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah.
so
Right,
Mhm.
what are other towns doing to?
right.
I'm gonna take it upon myself for the next meeting to just go out and query some of the departments in the state and health departments around the state to see what they do in situations like this. So if they know of any organizations that might be able to help, give me something to do
Yeah,
on a hot
the
day.
United Way runs that info line.
Right,
That would be a good place to start.
I'll do that. I understand it's a problem, but personally, I don't think, you know, we're kind of sliding into
We don't have
that
to-
role and the responsibility, and I just don't think it belongs here. It's more of a social service than
It
a.
started out as a nice idea, and now
Well, I have
it's
no
turning
problem with
into
the
almost
senior
a
buses
business.
and taking
It's just-
people shopping locally in town, or to a doctor's appointment in
Or
Branford.
to a trip.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
not-
we become the default because
Right.
the Red
Right,
Cross now.
and we gotta
Correct.
There are
address that.
limits, gotta have some limits.
That's why
Well,
right
but
now-
we need to address it, but we also, as the senior program is responsible for the senior programming, we're also responsible to get resources to solve problems.
Agreed.
Yeah.
not provide them, but find them, help
Correct.
them get
Make
going.
the right connection.
I have
Right.
to think that there's something, and if there isn't something, maybe there's something we can form, you know, as,
Right.
just like the Meals on Wheels program.
Right.
Okay. Peddler's Park.
7C, Peddler's Park sign.
Just bringing it up, the individual that had questioned the location of the sign at Shell Beach. I contacted her after our meeting, said, you know, we basically signed, the commission approved where it is, and that's where we're planning on keeping it. And we got into dialogue about a lot of different things, but, so, okay, well, where's Peddler's Park? And I told her where it is. She said, is there a sign there? I said, there isn't. And she said, well, what if I want to go to Peddler's Park, then there should be a sign there so I know where Peddler's Park is. We don't have one there. I mean, if we want to spend the money on a sign for Peddler's Park, we can. It is listed in our website, but it's really more of an access right now to Westwoods Trails. There's really nothing there. There was a kiosk there, a little kiosk for the map of the trails.
Still there.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, it's really it's where we piled
I know.
our stuff from the high
turf.
school.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's where our topsoil is piled right now. It's a holding ground, and it's something we have had in our long-range budget, 5-year plan over the years of, you know, reclaiming that, maybe making a little park there again, which, you know, was one years ago, a little picnic area.
We talked about a dog park possibly
Yeah.
located there.
So I just put it up. I mean, to me, it's not a high priority park right now, and if we want to put a sign there and spend the money on a sign, we can. But
How long before the topsoil will be gone?
boy, I don't know. Enough. I think we figure in enough there for probably about 8 or 10 years.
5 years ago.
Yeah, right. So I mean, there's still a lot there, but
So even if we were going to try to maximize the use of the park or beautify it in any way, that would have to be gone, right?
well, I think we probably use it there. You know, because you
Oh.
can't do any bulldozing there because there was a landfill underneath there. There's cars and refrigerators and whatever
Really?
else. Yeah, you see all kinds of metal stuff popping up.
that's not
So
great.
if we were to do something, and I don't know what kind of DEP regulations we'd have to go to fill that area. You know, I mean, it would be a pretty big project, I think.
We have a big park on our plate right now, so let's just
Yeah.
hold off. That would be my recommendation.
Agreed.
So Rick, I mean, until that reclaiming takes place, say you were to put a sign there, and somebody goes there, what are they gonna do there?
Yeah.
Well, that's just what kind of services are there,
Yeah.
what kind of facilities?
It's really a trail entrance right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we
I know
should
it
stay that
connects
way.
Westwoods, but what can they do there? It's not a park in any sense of a park.
No. Nor do we want to promote it as a park.
It'd be
because it
misleading
isn't
and
one.
Because it
there's a
isn't one yet.
liability issue there.
I think because it's listed in, you know, we have a facility thing, which I guess it maybe, I'll have to see if it's on the website, I don't know offhand, but,
Don't we have a map of all our properties?
yeah, so that's
It's
probably
listed.
listed on there as, you know, it's called Peddler's Park, because it was a park at one time, it's not anymore.
No. I
It's
think
on
we
the
need to
town
leave it the
website.
way it is right
Okay.
now, and at some point in the future, if we decide to turn it into something or address that whole stuff that's
Mhm.
in there.
Okay.
But I would not encourage people to use it. It
No.
doesn't sound like
No.
it's something that we'd want
I
people
think
to
there
be
used
using.
to be drinking parties
Yeah,
there.
it was
We
kind
got
of a
complaints from
hangout,
neighbors, so then we
so-
blocked it off to
It's
stop
on the
that.
town webpage, though, listed as 10 acres, Peddler's Park.
Yeah.
But
have
the
to go
picture
back to the
below it, I
frog
think, is
jumping
Long Hill Park.
contest.
Oh, really?
So
You know-
it's confusing.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, since we're talking about Chaffinch, sort of, it's some, on the map in Guilford somewhere, they have down at the causeway from Mulberry to Tuttle's Point, the marsh on the other side of that is listed as Chaffinch Island. And I cannot tell you how many times last summer people were going to an event at Chaffinch
And
Island,
they came there?
and they came in front of our house and said, "Where is
And
Chaffinch
what
Island?"
website is that listed on?
It's on, it's listed on a map as Chaffinch, the marsh on the causeway by Tuttle's Point, and it's listed as Chaffinch, so people are putting it in
Where's the map?
GPS. That map where they did the 2012, or the 2020 coastal management, you know.
Oh, that one.
that
I'll check
one.
with,
John Henningsen.
And then
Yeah.
also, I think if you pull up like a town map or whatever, it's listed over there, and that's drawing people in their GPS down to that area, thinking they're at Chaffinch. So I don't know how that happened or why it is, but
Interesting, the GPS is sending them there.
it's happened several times. It's not like one time somebody got lost and ended up down where we are, and it's, it wasn't an oops. They definitely are going down that way.
Okay, so you don't mean Daniel Avenue with the marsh
no,
no.
there, okay.
You go past and you're heading towards Tuttle's Point, the marsh to the left.
You don't turn on down, you
To the
go,
west.
keep going straight. You go
Yeah.
past the Mulberry Point Association Beach, you bear around to the left, and there's marsh on
As
both
you're heading
sides.
straight towards
And
Tuttle's
then
Point.
you're almost to Tuttle's Point, and that's where she's talking.
If you look at the aerial map of that area, they have that listed as Chaffinch.
It's not the backside of the bay there we're talking
No.
about, but it's a shellfish area, it's not that
No.
part of it?
No, because Chaffinch is on,
It's
on-
way over, it's
way,
Yeah.
way over up.
Yeah,
Just FYI, in
Okay.
case that ever comes up.
So,
I think maybe to respond to the person who wants a sign at Peddlers,
Oh, alleviate
that
traffic.
the commission will be taking up the status of and the future of Peddlers Park at a future date. And at that point, when we decide what we're going to do, we'll consider the sign.
Is the town gonna use that park for stripping off the topsoil at the high school for the reconstruction? They're gonna-
nobody's asked that. There's not a lot of room down there now, because that's what we did for the football field. We
Right.
brought it down there for our use. I mean, we did that intentionally, rather than have the contractor take, because there's a good topsoil there. So we knew for a 10-year period, we wouldn't have to buy any topsoil.
You don't want anything that's under that baseball field.
No.
It's not topsoil, trust
Yeah,
me.
No, I mean, no one's even brought that up, so, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of room at Pepper's Park for that now anyways. We've got some pretty good sized piles there.
I'll just tell them not to.
Yeah,
They offer, no.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I move that
Yeah.
the meeting.
No, park walk discussion,
Oh,
seven
that
D.
decision, sorry.
We've also got a holdover from correspondence.
Yeah, the sightlines letter. That letter about the tables not being set up.
Oh, well, we could add that as E. I had E down here, I didn't write anything else. Anything about the park walk?
Any,
We went to Lake Quantipoc, we went to Bittner, and we went to Long Hill Park. We had a good conversation with some fellows who were using the skate park, and got some names of them, so that if we should decide we wanted to do something a little different up there, improve the skate park. That they seem very knowledgeable about skate park design and use of skate parks, so
Good.
Rick has their contact information, and, but otherwise, everything seemed to be going along just fine.
I can comment.
We didn't see any issues that needed correcting.
Comment about Long Hill, the drainage project seemed to have worked well all summer, so this money's well invested and well spent by the town. At a time when we really needed it, so.
So after 15 inches of rain, it's been,
We were out there a day and a half later playing on that field.
it's perfect.
yeah, after that 6-inch rainstorm, went there next
Yes.
morning, and you couldn't play it, except for the puddles in the infield. The outfield was not dry, but I mean, it was not squishy. You couldn't
Not
play.
squishy.
Isn't this letter,
Did-
It really
switched
was.
it.
Yeah.
like a management issue? To be over-
So you prayed for rain, you got
I think it's,
Yeah.
this Barbara Casey letter is an internal thing for Rick to deal with.
Let's
We
make a
don't
motion.
take up the problems.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can do it just real quick,
Yeah.
give some opinion off camera, sightlines. We'll read that and we'll go over it. So,
Executive session.
I move that we,
I don't think we need executive session now. We're gonna just tell Rick that,
Move it into an internal.
he's gotta deal with that. We'll give him some input.
okay, so do we move that the meeting be adjourned?
Yes, if somebody wants to make
Make a
that
motion,
motion?
meeting adjourned, 8:16.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.